Hey everybody, welcome back to the YouTube version of Podcast of the Dragon. My name is Morgan, and this is the part of the show where I am a lot more visible and a lot less prepared, and I talk about the Wheel of Time on Prime. Before I go any further, if you could like and subscribe and do all that stuff that everybody else tells you to do, that would help me out a lot. It's time for me to watch episode 6, The Flame of Tar Valon, or Tar Valon. I called it Tar Valon forever, and then I looked in the glossary and really tried to sound it out, and I'm like, it's Tar Valon. And then someone said Robert Jordan himself called it Tar Valon, and I'm just like, tomato, tomato. They called it tomato in the last episode. Anyway, I'm excited. Brandon Sanderson said that this was his favorite episode, that it was, I think he said it was a 10 out of 10, or even if it's a 9 out of 10, that's off the hook. So I'm stoked. I'm really happy to see it. I'm so excited to see Swan Sanche. And I'm also honestly really looking forward to going onto YouTube afterward and watching all of the non-reader reacts, because I've been loving watching them consume the show and make speculations and honestly falling in love with this new turning of the wheel. Because I'm falling in love with this new turning of the wheel. I've been in love with this new turning of the wheel. I love the fact that we don't actually know what story they're going to tell us, and it's been wonderful. So I know some people have been annoyed by the changes, but I couldn't love it more. I couldn't love it more. I think that the writing in the show has been overall brilliant. I'm sad that there are only going to be 2 more episodes after this, and I hope that Amazon listens to the clamoring of the fans, those of us who are book fans who love the show, and then the people who have come to love the show who've never read the books, who are all like, why are there only 8 episodes? Why are the episodes only an hour long? We want more. Okay, time to meet Swan Sanche. I did watch the little teaser that they dropped yesterday. It looked amazing. We get to see her in Tyr. I think we're probably going to see, like, she channels and her hut gets burnt down or whatever. You see a little thing with the bamboo door and a dragon's fang on it. So I'm excited. I can't wait. Okay, so let me quit talking and start watching. Moraine faces the consequences of her actions. Matt faces the darkness in himself. Egwene faces the most powerful woman in the world. I'm really excited for Egwene to meet Swan Sanche. Maybe it's Egwene Swan is talking to and saying the last battle is coming. The only thing that matters is what you do. I mean, I like the idea of Swan confronting Nynaeve better, but honestly, the idea of the juxtaposition of Swan and Egwene being in a position of just weakness and awe before Swan, considering what their relationship will be later, honestly makes more sense narratively for foreshadowing. So, I like that better. Okay. Oh, I bet this is Tyr. Right on. I'm gonna start out learning about Swan. If you've never slept in a hammock, I think they're horrifically uncomfortable, and they're really not good for your back. Swan and her father, and she's already got her tattoos. Is that like getting your kid's ears pierced?
Are the fish stirring, Papa?
Aye. I'm kissing the surface.
It's hard to tie knots with one hand. I wonder if she got her tattoos as like a coming of age.
You couldn't unravel the knots a week ago. You're getting better.
I like this narrative that it's just the 2 of them rather than she had a bigger family in the story, and so one of her sisters found out she could channel, and she was basically hustled on a boat upriver and barely got to say goodbye to her family because of the views of channeling in Tyr. So the idea that because her father has lost his hand, that she uses it to help because it's just the 2 of them, I think that that's a really good narrative. It tells a very compelling backstory. Swan's backstory was it wasn't that it wasn't compelling, it was just sort of like she was poor and a fisherman's daughter, and you never got, it never allowed you to build the kind of empathy. That's one of the nice things about putting it in film. I think somebody saw, kiddo.
When can I come home?
When it's safe in Tia for girls like you.
That's so fucking sad.
Attend you all.
Wonderful
She comes.
transition.
The Watcher of the Seals, the Flame of Tar Valon. The Amelin Seat. Bring the false dragon.
Leandrin's dress is amazing.
You know what they say about you. Aes Sedai, the further you get from this tower, that you are weak. Weaker than you have ever been. 100 years ago, if a man stood up and said he was going to the White Tower to throw the Amerlin seat from their throne, no one would follow. I had an army at my back within the year. You know what people will remember? They will remember that one man fought against 9 women, 9 mighty Aes Sedai, and that I still staked that green bitch to the wall. Remove him. Kill me. Please kill me. I beg you. No, kill me. Please. I beg you. Kill me. Please. Kill me.
That was fucking gut-wrenching. I like Swan's ability to keep a straight face. She seems a lot gentler of voice and disposition, but I've always just read her as gruff, partly just because she seems like she has no mood for bullshit, but having her played as just like terrifyingly calm and no mood for bullshit is great. Also, the terror on Moraine's face because of the understanding of, you know, yeah, he did have a lot of followers, and yeah, he was able to stir up anti-Aes Sedai sentiment. There were people, you know, he had a certain populist, he had a certain populist like fervor or whatever, that, you know, he has a point, and yeah, it is scary, and also that it gives an idea of if the dragon fights for the Dark One, or if the dragon is not a friend to the White Tower, how bad that could be.
Leandrin, Alana, Moiraine. Approach. The rest of you depart now in the light.
So the others are getting off the hook, even though they participated, because they weren't strong enough to shield him, I think. And I don't like the fact that they did change the canon so that you had to hold individual shields rather than the women linking together to hold a shield the way it's supposed to work in the books, especially because they do link at the end to gentle him. If they needed that for the narrative, okay. I don't know that they did, but I haven't thought through to imagine why they might have changed it. Maybe it's just easier for people to understand, people who haven't read the stories to understand without a lot of exposition, so.
He was the most powerful man I've ever seen. He's lucky to be alive.
She looks at her sitters.
You took the shore many years ago, Leandrin. Have you forgotten your training?
But you didn't see what he did to her. I begged the Amerlin's clemency. Tirania died to protect us because she knew that the false dragon was too strong. Leandrin Leandrin made the right choice.
And then Moraine is like, because
If we hadn't tamed him, Mother, all of our sisters would have been killed, not just Granny.
this is so interesting because you can tell at the end of episode 4 that Moraine knew they had done something wrong, that they had fucked up, because they show her face just before they show Nynaeve at the end, where they kind of pan in on her looking kind of, feral and angry and frightened. And Moraine has this look on her face like, we fucked up big time. And not just like, oh, we're going to be in trouble, but like she thinks what they did was wrong. So it's sort of like Alana stepping forward to be like, we asked for clemency because what Liandrin did was right, as Liandrin is like looking to the left, to the Amyrlin's left, looking to our right of the Amyrlin, and looking at the red sitters to be like, we were within our rights. And then Moraine is like looking at Alana like, wait, what? Because she, I think, knows Swan and knows that there really isn't an excuse, and also does not agree. Thinks that no, they were wrong, and now she is basically stuck having to agree. And it's like, I mean, she makes a fair point as telling the truth. I'm going to go back. I think what she specifically says is we all would have died, which is possibly true. Yeah, sometimes to save lives, you do things that are wrong, and that's a theme that is explored a lot in the books. You see, Rand and, other characters commit what are, war, I'm putting in quotes, war crimes, but, they are war crimes, or, do things like deliberately kill his own men in situations where if he had not done it, it would be worse. So it's sort of like situations that happen in real life where you do things that, are wrong or terrible in hard situations where if you didn't do it, the cost would be worse. And RJ shows us that time and time again in the stories. So I feel like Moraine can speak the truth here and say the sisters would have died if we hadn't done what we did, while at the same time knowing that what they did was wrong. And that's kind of an interesting dichotomy. I am going to back this up a bit. Or maybe their plan was they were going to throw Liandrin under the bus, and so the solidarity has Moraine startled because Liandrin was like pushing the whole time of like, we should gentle him. We should gentle him. Yeah, we should gentle him. So she's looking at Alana like, wait, we're not going to throw her under the bus?
Our laws don't exist to protect our line. They exist to protect our people from us. Leandrin.
She knows that.
When Karene fell, you were in command. The fault lies with you, as will the punishment. You have something more to say.
Oh, she's pissed.
I'm just surprised. You don't care about the girl. But when we found Moraine, she was traveling with the most powerful channeler we've seen in 1,000 years, more powerful even than you, Mother.
Is there a point, Leandrin?
Trollocs invaded from the west, and Loghain's army swelled from the south without even a warning from Moraine.
This is blue business, Mother. No for scrutiny in this hall.
All business is judged here, Mygon. Unless you're suggesting the Amyrlin does not wish to question Moraine.
Oh, you bitch.
Mother was once blue herself.
What is the purpose of your travels?
I cannot say.
You dare to challenge me. Perhaps it is your noble blood, Lady Moraine Damodred, that breeds contempt for those you consider beneath you. Outside this tower, it seems you do as you please. But I am the Amyrlin's seat. This is my tower, my city.
Nice.
My...
What a smart thing. What nice little diastymar there. It's like, okay, Liandrin, you're being a fucking asshole, so Swan is going to completely deflect by utterly humiliating Moraine in the hall of the tower and completely divert the attention so that Moraine never even has to answer the question. Smooth. And at the same time, point out all these things that people assume Moraine is anyway. Like, assume that because she's a lady, even if she's a lady from a fallen house, the most powerful house in Cairhien until, the war and House Rioton got the throne, I'm sure Leandrin, who, if they're keeping to the canon of the books, came from a very poor background, probably almost as poor as Swan Sanche, might think that Moraine thinks that she's better than her. Swan Sanche could conceivably, everyone else might assume, think that Moraine thinks that she is better than her. So it's just kind of like all of these people all wondering, what's Moraine's game? What does she really think? Why doesn't she talk to us? Does she really think that she's better than everybody else? Maybe she became Aes Sedai because she couldn't have her noble ambitions. Maybe she wanted to be Queen of Cairhien, but that didn't work out. I'm wondering how this is all playing, and what a great way to deflect so that Moraine doesn't have to answer the fucking question by completely and totally humiliating her. Beautiful.
A world. Frontier to the two rivers and every town between. Remember that well while you are here. I will think on your penance. And deliver judgment tomorrow.
Leandrin knows.
Now in the light.
Apologize to her. Publicly. Well, you still can. What good would that do me? Don't be stubborn.
Gives her a persimmon.
Tomorrow your reckoning comes.
I wish Eamon Valda would light her on fire. They have a Starbucks in Tar Valon? I love the little bistro tables. That's amazing. Oh. He can track you too, lady. There's Basil Gill.
Do not come up, no matter what you hear.
That's not scary.
Don't be
I'm not going to let you hurt him!
Put that down. Stay
He
down.
has some channels! Matt, tell her! He has some channels!
The world doesn't need a dragon like me. What's happening to him?
Oh, you stupid boy. You took this from Shadow Lagoth.
Hold him down!
Ugh. That was intense. Would have liked to have him screaming in the old tongue and commanding soldiers while she did that. Don't mind that they got rid of it now. Seems much easier than having him hold it and have to chase it for a whole season. Much better that it's like this. But would have been nice to have him screaming and commanding soldiers in the old tongue. But oh well. Suppose you can't be commanding soldiers when you're vomiting horrible blackness. I was really alarmed when it was clinging to her face for a second.
I saw the darkness moving over you. You took up that evil. For man.
I would do it for any of you.
You could just say you're welcome.
Aww. I also really hope they have a less contentious relationship in this. The show writers seem to be making all of the characters, for the most part, a lot less stupid. Or at least a lot less, better at working with people. Better at, just with better people skills. And so I feel like I can see Moraine and Rand having a contentious relationship later on, or him struggling against her, but at least, have a certain basis of trust to begin with, so that, they can have something to start with where everybody's like, oh, they have this warmth and everything, so that I think it's next episode that he finds out that he's the dragon, maybe? Or maybe it's not until the last one, but whatever, so that I prefer it were the last episode, so we can have 2 episodes where we can see a really positive relationship between them, so that even if their relationship degrades up into the point where she swears to obey him, and I really do hope that they keep that, because they should have, a relationship that is a struggle for a while, they can retain what they had before and go back to having a really positive mentor relationship. So that, yeah, even if they have a rough time, it's not going to be this slog struggle where you're like, damn, Moraine, did nobody teach you how to, deal with people? I wish RJ had not written her to be such a dumbass. Rand's sensitive. I want them to have a more sensitive relationship and less, emotional boot camp.
Of course. better question might be, why didn't you find me as soon as you saw the darkness in Mert? Your pride would have killed your friend.
Shame. Shame.
Wisdom is the title you claim. I suggest you start using some.
Oh, snap. Deserved, but snap. I want a bath like that. That looks amazing. Also, like how the female nudity is all in shadows, so you're only getting, like, kind of like vague outlines of tits. Like, you can see tits, but it's, like, not quite so blatant as, like, Lon's ass was. But seriously, I dig the bathtub. That's amazing.
The whole world's gone mad. Ships are disappearing off the west coast. I
Shanshan.
spotted the site of the spine. Trollocs invaded the two rivers, and an Aes Sedai sank the Terran ferry. We need you here in the tower, Pep.
Oh god.
For what reason? I may need to go west to track the ship's disappearances. You've travelled long enough.
How long do you think they've been here? Only a day, maybe two. I sent a message as soon as I saw them.
The yellows?
Moraine. Rand and Matt, are they
I
there?
have people watching for their arrival. But I have it on good authority that they're alive.
Why the fuck would she not just tell her straight out?
My yellow sister said you were taken by white cloaks.
Wolves attacked the White Cloaks while we were there.
But he wasn't afraid of them.
It's like they listened to
Tell
him.
no one.
Is he the dragon?
There's much we don't know about the Dragon Reborn. What shape she or he will take, what power they will wield. For now, rest.
She's keeping them separated. Way to make her seem untrustworthy to people who don't know the stories. Very Game of Houses. She's keeping them separated, I guess, because maybe she thinks that if all 5 of them are together, they'll leave. And she does not trust that they'll stay in Tar Valon, and the only thing that will keep them in Tar Valon is if they're waiting for the others. Clever. Kind of shitty, but clever. She did tell Egwene that they were alive, so that's something. But yeah, still kind of a dick move.